It's that old saying, like, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything, you know, and I think it's tricky because even speaking with artists, with the work that I do as well, is it's like you've got to have a thing. Like, even I have to have a thing. It comes back to it, but it is brand, but it's like, you know, Cadbury is purple, you know, whatever it is this is that. Like, there's always that immediate connotation of something.
So this is probably a great place.
I was about to say, here we go, and we're in.
Yeah, we're in now. So yeah, and I think that's the thing. Like, a lot of artists, that they just don't feel as though that. Well, they just feel that they are kind of bracketed in this particular band, and I don't think that that's necessarily the case. I think it's just more of an internal thought and how they are positioned. So you're right. It is to do with how they brand themselves or position themselves.
Yeah, and I think we could argue on a design level that they're two different things. Well, that they're the same thing, but I think that they are definitely two different things. Do you know what I mean? Or vice versa, really. That brand and positioning, you don't necessarily need to have a brand or be a good brand to know your positioning, and vice versa. I
think that's just innate. I think that's the misunderstanding between what a brand is. You don't need to necessarily have a visual identity. I think that there's so much about, like, just how you communicate, how you present yourself.
Yeah, and we'll get in where you fit in, kind of thing as well. Like, I think there's the risk of trying to be everything to everybody as well.
There is that, but I guess what I'm saying is that the artists can value their work higher than they actually are, because it's one of those things, like, if you think your work is up here and you come at it with so much conviction, people believe you. Yeah. As in, like, it's not even just believe you, that's just where you're at now. That's the level that you're playing at. You know? Like, if you want to sell your piece at X amount, say, you know, like, call it $1,000 for a piece, upwards, and some people, for the same size and for the same amount of work and effort goes into it, they could sell it for $10,000, right? So the difference there isn't to do with the labor, isn't to do with the quality. It's just to do with how they value it themselves.
Yeah, there's and you find the ones usually that shouldn't do and the ones that do don't. You know what I mean? Like, it's that, you know,
there is that, yeah.
A bit of that imposter syndrome for people creeps in as well. But I have had lots of conversations with people over the years as well. Well, it took me 600 hours to do, so it should be $1 million. And it's like, you know, obviously exaggerating, but it's you know, there's no straight formula, is there? Like, that's the
and I think that's the beauty. Part. That's why you can be like, fuck it, I'm just going to go straight to the top. And then just aim for that, and then just
see when we get there.
just go there. Why not?
Yeah. Well, it's just, what's that thing? Ironically, well, it's not ironic, but the comparison of water, where it's like, you know, you can buy a bottle of water for 90 cents in the supermarket, and then you pay $8 on the plane.
Yeah.
But it's the same product. That's the positioning kind of conversation.
It's definitely part of it.
I didn't mean to pick up the water one.
No, that's definitely part of it. Or you could, you know, put it in a can, call it liquid death, and charge whatever you want. I think, like, in terms of artistry and artists, I think that there are some that are really good at it and have, I guess, just seized opportunities better than some, where I think it's not even just seizing opportunities. I think they've just carved out their own. And I think that's one of the things as being an artist, is that you just really have to, you got to carve out your own, man, because there's no pathway for this.
Yeah, that's a really true statement. Like, I mean, I know you're the host of the podcast, but what's your approach to I'm asking you the questions, but like, what's going to be your approach to sort of pushing the art side of things as well? Because I went to art school, it was a waste of money, and we got told, you know, by one particular, like, you don't have a style, don't get a style, don't, you know, and then you kind of go to the marketing side of it, and it's like, you need a brand, you need this, you need that, you know what I mean? So it's like, how are you coming about it strategically, or
I do. I come a bit of both. I think it's organic, but it's definitely strategic, and I think that a lot of it is going to be more subconscious. I've just been leaning in on the advice, well, not even necessarily advice, but just the conversations I've had with artists. I think, like, Tom Gerard was a big one, because he kind of had a similar kind of trajectory as a designer started a podcast because he wanted to pivot into art and then learnt from the people that were doing it. And without knowing his story, story, that's how it sort of had played out for me.
Yeah, okay.
And then again, it's just that whole audacity thing is like, I'm just going to fucking do it and then just do it. But the whole, like, I guess the strategy is to go really big and really high early on and just really just put my foot down with it. You know?
Yeah.
That's the angle.
Yeah, the audacity thing, that's a good word. Actually, good link back to, I don't know if you know or have heard of Mark Pollard before.
No, go on.
So Mark Pollard is the guy who founded a magazine. I'm going to say 2000. It might be late 90s. Don't have my dates exactly right, but Oz Hip Hop Mag a hip hop magazine in Australia called Stealth.
Okay. No, I don't know it.
Yeah, check him out. But he's also comes from brand world, like he's a strategist. I reckon you'd fully get into him.
Cool.
But I think it was just before the time that he moved to New York. I think he still lives in New York now. Super switched on dude. But he did a free workshop to test some of the ideas that he was working on before he went to New York, and that course, or I guess that whatever it was, that workshop day, was about audacity. It's like, be audacious, and kind of left. I mean, I don't know if I left being that audacious, but I definitely left with that audacity kind of notion in my head, and yeah, it just brought me back. But you should check Mark Pollard out.
I will.
Yeah, Stealth Mag, incredible. It used to come with like a CD on the front
Mixtape.
cover. Yeah, it was, I think, even like some interactivity, like CD-ROM stuff. And
cool.
Yeah, I've got them at home still. Incredible.
Yeah, so I think that's a very important, probably the most important ingredient. Because you think about some of them, and even with Byron from Backwards, we were talking about this, and he's sort of neither here nor there, because I thought it's my position is that I think it's an integral ingredient. He seems to think that it is for some and not for others, and makes complete sense as well. But I think for me, it's just more like, if you want to push your way through, then fucking barge.
Yeah.
That's how I'm doing it, because like, I'm speaking with the likes of yourself and all the other artists that I hold to a pretty high esteem.
Yep.
And to crack into that, start a podcast and sit across from them. That's one way of doing it. But then beyond that, if I'm taking the lessons that they are sharing, then it's just like, why even try to tiptoe and, weasel my way in? It's just go straight into it. And the standard, the quality, what's expected to be at that level. And then why fuck around? Just...
Yeah, I think it's it's a start as you mean to go on thing, isn't it? But if you're going to have that approach, like the consistency and the sustainability thing is the next part. Because I think I can tell this story. I had a competitor a few years. It was probably COVID was. I always go to say, it was 5 years ago. And it's like COVID was 5 years ago. So it's probably like 10 years ago.
Pre-COVID.
Yeah.
It's
probably
been
like,
time warp.
Yeah. And wanting to do a similar kind of thing to what I was doing with, the art sort of stuff, and basically goes, I'll take you out for lunch, and then just basically told me, like, I'm going to take your business down. Like, not in that of an aggressive way.
But how, like, what do you mean? How?
Well, like, can we have lunch? Can I ask you some questions? Because I kind of, I'm basically going to be your competition. And I was like, yeah, no worries. Like,
let's in a similar aesthetic?
I think it didn't end up there, but I think it was a similar thing. But I guess the point that I'm trying to make is, like, there's many people that come and go with these big, bold ideas, but it's about, like, it's the tortoise and the hare. Like, you've it's maintaining the momentum is the hard part. Like,
you
and
are right.
Not saying this about you.
No, you are right, because that's one of the things when you're talking about the strategy of it all, is trying to find, when I'm saying be audacious, but also just trying to figure out your processes that you can carry across long term.
Yeah.
So there is that fine balance, because a lot of what I'm focusing on, and a lot of other artists, will just be on craftsmanship, right? And trying to be really meticulous with the details and just trying to be, I guess, precise with everything. But, that takes time. And that level of precision, or I guess it's hard to repeat all the time, because there's always human error, but that's also something to lean into as well. So I think that's also another part, is that thinking, or just be mindful of what your strengths and weaknesses are, and then leaning into both of them. Because, like, I like a lot of artists that are a bit more organic with the way that they create, right? That they kind of just lean into their intuition. But they have that intuition because they've got runs on the board. Yeah, so for them, it's just
makes them a bit more relaxed because
they can just do it, right?
Yeah.
And they're not too fussed with trying to tighten their grip and control over the artwork. So I think it's just allowing that to happen more, but that's just going to have to come with time. And yeah, you see a lot of artists when they have figured out, I guess, their style, like to what you were saying, like have a style or don't have a style, but just be open to evolving and growing as well.
It's that old saying, like, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything, and I think it's tricky because even speaking with artists, with the work that I do as well, it's like, I even hate kind of admitting it might not be the right word, but like saying, like, you've got to have a thing. Like, even I have to have a thing. There's got to be a thing that it's like, and it comes back to it, but it is brand, but it's like, Cadbury is purple, whatever it is this is that. Like, there's always that immediate connotation of something, and it would feel limiting, like it can feel limiting and restricting, but then at the same time, oh man, I don't know if we could solve that. It's
No, I mean, but your thing could be like, I don't have a thing, right? Like, for example, an actor, right? They could be easily pigeonholed into one type of archetype of a role. But then it's just a matter of just breaking out of that, right? Like if you see Jim Carrey does Eternal Sunshine. And all of a sudden, like, oh shit. Or, Robin Williams does, what was it, like 1 Hour Photo?
Fuck, that was great.
Exactly.
But that's exactly what you want, is the breaking of the mold. Well, McConaughey, wasn't it Matthew McConaughey, where knocked back years and years of rom-coms to get whatever it was.
He had to break that, didn't he?
Yeah, which, man, that silence of, just thinking that hopefully something's on the other side of this, the unknown, like you're in the abyss, like,
but how much do we actually fucking know anyway? Like we feel, I think there's the illusion of like knowing, but then you just don't.
Yeah. Remember, I just went back in my head. There used to be this thing, I think it was a Jim Morrison quote, there are things known and things unknown, and in between are the doors.
Oh, cool.
It was on the door at our art class in high school. I just went like super silent, and then I felt like I just was like, went straight back there.
I like that. That's how they got their name.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to get quoted on that, but there's the Common album as well. One day it'll all make sense. I always find myself, I say that a lot to myself.
Everything makes sense.
One day it'll all make sense.
Look back, right?
One day it'll all make sense. Yeah, this is fucking a really philosophical. I feel like it's like, well, it just reminded me then, everything, life lived forward, understood backwards. The only thing you can do is in the moment.
100%, man. Do you know Charlie Rocket? Have you?
No, don't listen to hip hop. No, I'm joking.
Oh, so you do know?
No.
Where did you even draw that link?
Oh, well, that's just, if someone says, that's what I say.
Okay.
I don't listen to hip hop, but it is hip hop.
Yes and no, right? So he's not an artist per se. He's a producer, or used to be a producer.
Yeah, okay.
So he was just a dude that had a good musical ear, was a producer, had a brain tumor, and was just unhealthy all around. And then just like that, changed his life. He just went on this health kick, left the industry because the industry was just fucking cooked.
Toxic, yeah.
Yeah. And now he's basically a bit of a mindfulness guru, a bit of a, I wouldn't say motivational speaker. He's just an all-round cool dude. So he actually set this goal for himself that he's like, I want to beat this cancer. I'm going to also be in a Nike commercial. And the way he did it was that...
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, so the way he did it was that he actually just documented his journey to recovery and filmed a Nike commercial, just himself.
Yep.
And then put it out there. And because he was already kind of a known person, he worked with big artists.
Yeah.
And they picked it up. And then they did it. And then now he's just this awesome dude, and he has this philosophy of he just calls it the winning streak, right? So it's always about like just trying to find the good in any kind of dire situation.
Yeah.
So once you're able to do that, then it's just like a mindset shift. So he's essentially saying it's like I'm on a winning streak because I don't have bad days, I don't have bad moments. Like whatever it is, you just got to find the win in that and just keep on carrying forward.
Yeah.
So I guess that ties into what you're saying, and that's just something that's just been playing on my mind a fair bit. So it's just about like, so out there when you saw me when I was cutting up my boards, right? So this is the first time I bought these aluminium composite boards, and the first time I'm trimming them. And this is about the control. So I'm on the computer, sizing everything up, working out the size, the proportions, the frames, and everything like to the millimeter, right? And then those all locked in. I get out there and I measured it, and I forgot that I changed the measurements in the second iteration of how I was going to trim it. And I just went back and trimmed it. And then I'm like, this is wrong.
Hey.
But now it's just, all right, cool. What are we going to do? It's like, okay, cool. Now I have these pieces, these boards that are not to the proportions that I want. So now it's a matter of just flipping. It's like, now how do I create the art that is going to be more appropriate for these dimensions? It's just to push. And that will just kind of like challenge the way I lay
But
it
is
out.
that a who knows? Like, who would know apart from you situation? And because are you not able to let go of that, or you just go, well, they're just this size?
Oh, I
now?
got it. I have to let go of it. Like, what am I going to do? It is
Yeah.
what it is. So now the winning streak would be, oh, cool. Now it gets to challenge how I'm going to lay it out because
Change
it's just
the format.
different. Yeah, different proportions.
Measure twice, cut once, mate.
I actually did, but I just forgot that I changed the measurements. So it's perfect. Everything's exactly how it should be, but I forgot that I changed it. But yeah, so yeah, that's the mindset.
Yeah.
And I think that.
Yeah, I think it's cliche, the power of positivity. Like I've definitely always tried to have that, like in terms of, like even I've always had this thing, second best answer is no. Like I would like to get to a no as quickly as a yes, because,
Explain that.
Well, I mean, I use it all the time with, even trying to get walls for projects. It's like, the second best answer is no. Like the least amount of time that we can spend figuring out this middle ground between yes or no, the better. Like yes is the ultimate answer, and we want yes straight away, but the second best answer is no. Not,
Oh, you mean from them?
yeah, not
right.
not like, oh, maybe. What about, can we this, that? It's like it's yes or no kind of thing. So
Yeah, that's true. Then
and
at
I
least
just
it's
find
clarity.
myself saying that a lot. It's like, look, the second best answer is no, which gives them the out as well, because I think some people just don't know how to say no.
Yep.
So here is your opportunity. Say it if you want to say it. It's fine, because I'm at peace with it as well.
Yeah, and you just need to get on with it.
Yeah, get on with it.
Get on with it. So you got an eye for curating, obviously. That comes from just your practice.
Yeah, I wouldn't really say I don't think I have a practice anymore. Like I made a really important decision, I think, just after uni, where I was like, okay, you either need to like be an artist or you need to be in the industry.
Direct it.
Yeah, well, I don't think you can do both. Like I always come back to the example of, like when I used to play music when I was a teenager, it was like you always found that the guy who booked the venue played in the band that got all the supports. Do you know what I mean? And and I didn't want to be that guy where it's like, oh, I'm put on a festival. I'm on the lineup, and look, I'm painting with, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
it's that I never wanted to kind of have that perceived conflict of interest. And apart from anything else, like, I've always really struggled over the years with really honing. We talk about that thing. I've always really struggled trying to hone in on what my thing was, because there were lots of different things. I couldn't decide whether it was music or it was art or it was painting or it was sprays or it was different instrument or whatever it was, So it was like, man, I just need to remove all of that chaos and I've said before, like I've always been the one that was more articulate than my counterparts that I was working with at the time. So I'd end up just being the talker. And I talk to anyone that'll listen anyway. But it was just really a real conscious decision to be like, okay, cool, that's what I want to do. And and the byproduct of that was that, you do over time start to prove certain situations, like with your taste, or with your ideas, but then also, if it's not that as well, I have struggled at times with the word curator as well. And, talk about my art degree that was pointless but that idea of a curator is, it's Latin for to take care of, and that's kind of what I've always felt is my obligation is.
So it's more of a custodian of these events, isn't it? Like you have to oversee and direct it.
Yeah, well, I try not to direct it, but I want to make sure that whatever I'm taking care of is given the best opportunity to perform as well as it needs to, or they need to.
Because you're not just overseeing the shortlisting the artist, right? You've just got to make sure that the entire experience from start to finish is all cohesive.
Yeah, definitely in the trenches, and we're there together. Like festivals are a bit different to say like one-off projects where it's just me and one other artist. But I mean, there's been situations where I work with artists who might not be ticketed, for example, but we need to be able to go big for them to create their work. So I'll be sitting. Can you hear my stomach? No,
I heard it, but I don't
it
think
doesn't come through on the mic.
I don't think so. But anyway, now we know about it.
Yeah, everyone. So I'll be on. I might be on the lift, like literally assisting, getting things, them to get at scale or whatever it needs to be. So I've probably always pitched myself more as, I guess, like a producer or rather than a curator. But I also, like I said, I'm starting to realize now that that's what it is as well. But just, it's just funny when you say to someone, what do you do? I'm a curator. They're like, a creator. It's like, no, it's just hard to explain.
How does it, because there's a bunch of street art festivals that seem to be not just popping up, but there's just a lot. It seems to be, at least every month. At least every month, there's one popping up, even just in Melbourne, but obviously like all over Australia. And if you're going to be appointed at any one of those, how do you then identify what is the distinct character of this versus that?
Yeah.
Because like if you're going in and, you're using your own particular vision or your curatorial know-how, how do you then distinguish who should be at one and then move on to the next one?
Yeah. There's probably two ways to go about it, together or separately, and one which I've always, and this is where sort of, the work with Wonderwalls came from anyway, is this evolution of, graffiti into street art, or graffiti and street art into murals and festivals and all the rest of it. So talk a lot about, the scene and how quickly it morphed from a scene and now it's an industry. Where you were a part of like just a little underground kind of thing that was happening, and then before you know it, it's you're part of the economic driver of an LGA, and it was funny because I remember I spoke at a conference in Townsville 5 years ago, before COVID, and it was a placemaking conference, and I was like, "What's placemaking?" Yeah. They're like, "You're placemaking." And I'm like, really? Oh, shit. Awesome. Well, not awesome, but you know what I mean? Like
placemaking being someone that creates the aesthetic of an area?
I mean, you're making places. It's
like literally.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, it's as cliche as, those activations that you see where they put pallets and AstroTurf down in a tissue space and go, come on, look, it's changed. Surprise. So, that kind of stuff. But, like it definitely has its place, but not knowing that that's what we were contributing to, or that I was contributing to, it was a bit of a bizarre thing. But, I think that it's interesting, that idea around that placemaking and coming from like a culture, is that I've always said around, if you think about culture, which, you talk a lot about as well, is like, culture, think culture with a K, like, culture, it's bacteria, and bacteria grows where you don't know it's there. It hides under the seats, in your lunchbox if you don't, get rid of your sandwiches.
School holidays.
School holidays. You know what I mean? And that's always been a big part of it as well, is like you can't manufacture that stuff. I mean, you can in a lab, but see how stinky it gets pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So that's kind of that's a big part of, I guess, my curatorial side of things, is like, you don't want it to be manufactured. It needs to feel organic and connected to something. And for me, it's a big lineage along. Ooh, keep hitting this mic. It's that kind of a journey.
So there's part of it where you actually have to be mindful. Or when you're saying like let it just kind of create or let it move organically, you've also got to be pretty mindful of which direction it's going. Yeah, because now that there's like, you know, like I was saying, you've got your particular vision and you're applying it to this, and this, and this. But then at the same time, there's so much going on in and around when you're talking about creating culture, and a lot of the artwork is going to be representative of the culture. So while you have your particular taste, there's also going to be all these things that are happening, right? And like, even if it's just like, I think it was just recently, there was this book festival in Adelaide that was meant to have happened just earlier this year. And there was one award winner. She was banned from being able to receive the award. Her background, she's Palestinian and wrote about everything from a Palestinian point of view. So they basically said, sorry, you can't come. And then from there, a whole bunch of other writers were like, well, fuck that, we're not coming either. And then just cascaded down, and they're like, shit, the event's cancelled now because no one's showing up for it and everyone's boycotted it. So it's kind of like having to make room for growth, but also just being mindful of the dialogue that's happening in and all around. Because I know there's so much, like, let's say if you want to say, you know, street art, I'm going off on all these little tangents now and just trying to make sense of my thoughts. Because when you said before about like how street art, how graffiti was a thing, and then now it's become street art, and now it's all these festivals. Because at some point in, I guess, more established countries and towns that have been around for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, like street art was a thing, as in it was just public domain to decorate the walls. And that was just how they expressed their thoughts, their opinions, and you know, just to even make the area look nice, whatever it may be. But then like we were void of that, and then that's kind of what started street art, graffiti rather, right? It was just an act of rebellion and trying to claim an area or to leave a mark. And then now street art has kind of come out of that, back from the roots of what it was originally. So now it's all sort of happening, and there's all these like cultural and political views being shared, and then now it's something that you just got to be more mindful about how it's being curated or how it's being managed. Like what are the conversations that we want to have about the art that's being shown, and what do we not want to put up there? Like that's just I wouldn't want to go near it.
Yeah, I think I've always tried to have a role where I just get out of the way of that process. So it's, you know, almost kind of having one arm holding one stakeholder back, the other holding the other stakeholder, whoever they may be, councils, sponsors, whatever it needs to be. It's just trust. It's just, you know, the reason that everybody fell in love with whatever it is that they fell in love with it, you know, be it the pictures, the colours, the energy, you know, you weren't there, you weren't a part of it becoming this thing that you fell in love with. So if you just stay away from it and let it evolve as it needs to evolve, then that's where I feel like the best outcomes are always going to be had. And look, you know, there's always this, you know, kind of risk aversion that government, funding bodies, sponsor, no one wants to be connected to, you know, a problem or anything that's going to offend. But, you know, I'd almost speak for every creative that I've had anything to do with, is that, you know, everyone's got a pretty good moral compass. In the sense that, you know, whether it be, you know, having their own views, but not necessarily having to kind of slam them down people's throats, and just really being able to read the room. Like, you've got to trust that most people are going to be able to read the room. So like I said, I've always just kind of held back and just, free the path, get out of the way.
Yeah, I don't know if the moral compass is the thing. I think I agree. I think most people have a great moral compass, or one that's pointing north-ish. But then it's more like how they, like, evil people didn't think they were evil either. You know, thought they were doing good. So it's kind of that, like, because more than ever, I feel as though that, like, because of social media, just whatever, the world that we live in, opinions are so divisive and so polarizing as well. Like the nuance in the middle, I think that's the tricky area. And then, you know, to what you were saying, then like once you get into that space and when you're talking with stakeholders, especially councils, you're now working with a smaller bandwidth of what can go up on the walls for the I guess not wanting to necessarily offend. So now the things that we're seeing just look pretty. That don't necessarily have much to say other than just to look nice.
Yeah.
And just to almost like placate the situation.
Yeah. And it, you know, I guess at some point it just does become decorative. But I feel like, you know, you talk about, you know, this thing like there's Zen life, you know, but then there's like Ven life, which is like that sweet spot of, yes, things also do need to look nice, but not everything has to have this deep driving, you know, message, be it metaphorical or political or whatever it is. Sometimes it can just be a nice picture, and sometimes it's nice to not have to think and just to feel.
Yeah.
You know, like there's so many different kind of, I guess, outcomes of what any level of creativity can do. You know, you look at someone who you've had, comes up a lot for me is Sahil Roy. Like, you know, you can have a deep conversation with him about what his work represents, but you can also have a conversation with somebody that goes, oh, I could do that. And the answer is also, no, you couldn't, but I understand why you think that you can.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because there's some inherent response to its simplicity that the complexity is lost on you.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. I completely understand that. Have you heard of this artist, Mad C?
Yep.
Like, her work is just out of this world. At scale, because it's similar-ish to Sahil's, as in it's just like strokes. I guess like in a composition of strokes. And then when you do something like that, blow it up at scale, it just feels so much more powerful as well. And it could just be that. It could just be the weight of the work that people look at. And when you're curating a street art festival, just the sheer size of something could just be like, that's what it could be, just that.
Yeah, that's true. And I think if you look at Mad C's work, like if you track it back as well, it is, I don't know if you meant this, but that is the deconstruction of the letter form. Like her work is just her pieces over the last 30 years, 25 years, just being deconstructed to the point that, you know, in the same way that a brand does now that, you know, Nike doesn't need to have the word Nike, it just needs the tick. You can see her stuff and just you can see where it's come out of the letter.
Yeah.
If you've tracked the journey kind of thing. So, and yeah, I think that, you know, the scale thing for sure. But, you know, we're only having this conversation, you know, post-festival as well around, you know, how long is it going to be that people are actually going to be satisfied with watching paint dry? Because that's essentially, in a lot of cases, what festivals have been, is it's like, okay, cool, day 1, 2, 3, 4, whichever it is, you just come and watch the process. You know what I mean? Whereas with what I've tried to do, even with Benalla, is it's that kind of idea. We'll come and have conversations, come and listen to stories, come and unpack, you know, the behind the scenes sort of stuff and actually go a little bit deeper. And the one thing that I really do feel for artists at festivals is, you know, they're a bit sort of like an exhibit. Well, they are an exhibit.
They are, really.
But, you know, like probably more from a scientific thing where they're in a cage, which is a scissor lift, and it's just like, what's this? What does that mean? What does this mean? You know, and I think with being able to kind of have a deeper conversation where they're not stressed, where they're not, you know, rushed, where they're not interrupted with it's almost like you need these, you know, 10 FAQs on the front of the lift that says, yes, this is my real job. It's a picture of this person. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's those kind of standard questions. But I think being able to kind of unpack that stuff more deeply is definitely a good thing. But I think the format and the way that we start to do that as festivals or as a festival is, I think, probably needs to evolve a little bit as well, you know. So everybody can get something out of it as well, you know.
That's pretty good way of putting it. I was talking with Sam Absurd. He's a And we're just saying about how with that their lineup, much like the Benella one, it's just a bunch of really not just high level artists, but just professional, right? Like I think that when they're in that situation where they're painting, it wouldn't be the first time they get grilled with these type of questions from random people walking up. So it's almost like that they have had that training, and that's kind of how they put themselves in that position of being one of these festivals, is that they already know what their response is going to be, because it is leading that intuition. They know, they're so familiar with their work, they're so familiar with just the concepts and the ideas behind it, and they've heard all these questions before.
Yeah, well rehearsed.
Yeah. So like, how else could the street art festival facilitate? You know, if you're saying that it needs to change, what else needs to be done?
Yeah, well, that's sort of what we were talking about. I don't know if it's, if there's a way to kind of, get people finished a little bit earlier, and then there's almost a way to kind of have a walk around where there's a bigger conversation, or it's a sit down thing, or, because it's a thing around the world, isn't it? These kind of street art tours where, you often have a spokesperson, which, at the same time, I'm sure artists at times, and I am also very grateful for, because it sort of takes the pressure off not having to lead a group and be, have to have those conversations all the time. But yeah, I think, going straight to the source and getting the information from the artist would be good, but under the right circumstances as well, like I said, and that sit down. I mean, I'm only saying this as well because, we had a nice air conditioned cinema, and it was just a really great format.
That was intentional as well. Like, that wasn't just all the artists. That was like a panel.
And that's probably maybe the step towards it as well, is that, they were obviously very high profile artists as well. But, you don't have to come and paint. You just have to come and talk. Like, you can be, you know what I mean? I hope it was a very stress-free environment to just come and do one thing, and do one thing really well, be it paint or be it talk. Because I've tried to jam it all in before, and it's like, you're trying to get an artist from their wall, which is here, to a talk, which is over here, and they're not mindful of time, and, everything runs, they're in a moment, and I totally get it, so you want to be able to facilitate that as best as you can. And even talking with artists over the years as well, like ones, when no one's getting any younger as well, so people are starting to try to make the transition probably off walls and into galleries, and I even just think, running a festival is a lot of work, and the idea of just wrestling with technology for a conference feels quite, quite appealing as well.
Appealing?
Yeah, okay. Well,
like a different set of challenges.
Yeah, but at least it's contained, and
okay.
I really enjoy what you're doing, like with the podcast and the conversations and the depth, and you know what I mean. Like, I think having people come and be able to experience something like that in a nice setting is and it's a lot easier than managing 10 sites.
It is. Well. Yeah, that's a great point. I guess that is really the difference, because there's that, like, the practical side of them physically working, and then there's the more, I guess, the introspective side and just trying to understand it. I do enjoy going to Q&As as well, like when an artist has an exhibition on for like the run of however, could even just be a few days, but then they'll allot like a 1 hour, 2 hour slot where it's just a Q&A.
Yeah.
And some artists will be doing a live painting, but on the premise that the live painting is just there as a way of hanging out.
Yeah, yeah.
Where Backwards had that big wall and some artists will paint, but just, shoot the shit when people come up and just step away. Have a chat. Yeah,
and I know it's a buzzword at the moment as well, but it's that kind of community building thing as well, where, getting people together, like, in real life as well, to be a part of something and see something happen. And yeah, it's all, and again, like, that all adds to the culture. It all adds to the magic. It all adds to the scene. It all adds to the connection. Like, without those cultural neurons firing around, then you're not gonna, it's dead, isn't it? It's just,
You got to find ways of just connecting with the younger folk in the next generation and trying to build them up and prop them up. But at the same time, I think that they have a pretty good handle on how things need to be done. Like, just how things are, they're just carving their own way, because there's just so many varied opportunities for them just to...
Yeah, that's interesting, hey, because, like, I've really been trying to find, like, young artists that are moving in similar spaces and circles. And look, if anyone... No, you want to use this as a shout out, but like, I wonder where it's going.
Oh,
like, because I'm not saying that they're not there, but like, I'm actively looking, and struggling to find. I'm talking, you know, like who's the 17 to 19, 20-year-old kind of artist that's pushing in public space, and maybe they're painting trains at the moment. I don't know.
Back to that. Back to the
Yeah.
roots. That's a good point, man, because I suppose that like painting walls, it was just a thing because just culturally we just did it, right? Like just as young juvenile punks, you just saw that that's how you do it, right? Like you go to a skate park and just leave your mark or something, right? And you just did that, and then from there it just kind of transitions. And if you enjoy the craft of painting large, then you'll just work on that practice. But maybe because there's just so many other opportunities now, like there were always those opportunities, but we just weren't necessarily aware of them.
Yeah, well, they were those opportunities, but they were definitely like DIY opportunities, you know, whereas now, is it that, you know, artists are sitting there waiting to walk into the industry rather than be a part of the scene?
Well, there's also, like, I've talked about this, that our generation, and also just like those in their 30s, pre-social media, is that we picked a discipline and then did that, and the social media came secondary to that. Once we were told that you need to promote on social media, like, oh, fuck, that's a whole new thing that we need to inject into our practice. Where the new generation, like the real youngsters, it's such an integrated part of their life that they create for social media. So it's like, it's not easy to go find a wall you can paint and then having to prop up cameras. I mean, a big part of it is that we can just do this discreetly and stealth. That was the point. And if you wanted to film it, you film it. But that was just more, I guess, like a bit of a, that was just part of the rebellion, right? To capture the shit you're doing. Like if you're going to go bomb trains, you got your mate there. This is pre-mobile phones, right? Like with a little camcorder or something. But now it's like we're going to create for social media, and you can't be bombing shit and putting it up on social media. So you'll have to find other ways of creating.
So is it more, it's sort of, I don't know if you say, is it more performative now? Like in the sense that like it's got a destination and it should have an outcome, whereas before it was just hobbies, you know? Like,
Yeah, I would say, I mean, we would say performative, but it's also for them, it's like, it's not performative, it's just part of what it is, right? Like it's part of the expression, it's part of the art.
Yeah, well, that probably links to that conversation that we had as well earlier around, you know, the idea of, you know, like I don't have an issue with social media. I don't have an issue with being shy or anything like that, but I have an issue with having to do what I'm told to do because a platform is dictating it. You know what I mean? As I said to you, like I've done all the things I had to do. Like I pimped out my MySpace, you know, what did I say? But poked people on Facebook, you know, got a Facebook page, did all the, you know, now I've got to show my face. Now I've got to dance. Now I've got to do this. Now I've got to like, and it's like, I don't have an issue with doing, well, I have an issue with dancing, but I don't have an issue with doing that if that's what I want to do. But it's kind of like, I think that it's almost the time where when I was in my 20s where I would say to, you know, the 40-year-old guy, listen, if you don't get a Facebook page, mate, you're going to get left behind. And now it's like the 20-year-old saying to me, listen, if you don't dance in front of the camera, mate, you're not going to do no more festivals, you know? And it's like, and the dancing thing, I know, is an exaggeration, but it's also not.
I get you. Because there's also like, to a large degree, it is performative, right? Like, if you got to set up your camera, like chatting with Ginger, she has her whole setup, her rig. So it's almost, I think it's changed now. She's left her studio, but when she was in there, she had all her camera, the tripods, and whatever, like, the setup. The setup exactly as she needed it, and she could move from station to station and move her phone and click it into this. And so there's that element. But then there's also like having to do things, like when I'm recording the shit I'm doing for social media, I'm there and I'm just like doing just whatever it may be. It's like, don't fuck this up, don't fuck this up, don't fuck this up. But then it gets fucked up, and then I'll share that, and then it just feels fine to share that, where you just got to try to break through that whole, it doesn't have to be perfect. Like if you show people the flaws. But anyway, like Ginger, she's
great. Incredible at it. Yeah.
She's great at it. I think that just comes from the innings as well.
Yeah. It was funny yesterday when we left, someone sent me a thank you video message.
Oh, nice.
And I was like, man, I've never had that before. and they were a younger person, and I was like, wow.
That's how they do it.
Yeah. So I was like, I did a video back. And I was like, when I did it, I'm like, fuck, don't watch it, just send it.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, if I watch this, like, I'm going to start,
Overthinking it.
Yeah, and I did send it back with some,
Cuts.
No, just trying to be like, stupid about it and, channel the boomer energy.
I don't know how to react to something like that. Like if someone sends me a voice message instead of typing it, am I obligated to then record my voice? Is that funny. The protocol?
I don't, but I think it might be. I've started doing voice notes though now, only because just on the move it can be easier.
Just to dump the ideas,
and I find I'm more direct with my voice than I am if I'm trying to write something. But I'm actually a voice to text person now as well. I'm getting a bit annoying. Someone will be talking to me. I'll be like, "Hey, comma, just wondering." Full stop. ... I know. Oh, look.
It doesn't pick. I don't do it, so it doesn't pick up punctuation. You can't figure it out.
Well, I just need to make sure because otherwise I just look like I'm stupid.
It doesn't write comma.
Sometimes I think but I'm still. I just want to make sure because then I got into the habit of having to go through and edit everything, and it's like I could have just written this. So, but yeah. So if I'm so many people have been, and I'll be talking blah blah blah, and be like, yes, come on, blah blah blah, and anyway, fuck. Too much information.
No, I've had being of our generation, I'll have friends that would call, and some go even further and just video call. I don't know if that's okay to do. If you can just randomly, it's like when our parents, when we were living at home with the folks, and they'll have a family friend come and just knock on the door, and you're not expecting them.
Yeah.
And then they'll just come in, and then we'll just that's it, just tea, coffee, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And now I'm getting video calls from mates, and I'm like, I'm not cool with that. I'm not okay with that.
It's very force fed, isn't it? But it's this day and age's knock on the door, isn't it?
It's the equivalent of that.
Yeah.
So there'll be I'm not home.
Yeah, unless it's a kid. I think a kid can do it.
With
or
another
your
kid?
No, if a young you know what? Yeah, I'm just thinking like if my kid FaceTimed me.
He's got a phone?
Yeah, now iPad, but still.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that's Of course, it's your child. They can FaceTime you. You can FaceTime me. It's fine.
Yeah, block.
Yeah.
It's like I'm in the middle of something. He's just across the room.
Yeah. Well, that's probably the thing. He would just be in the lounge room. So anyway.
That was a tangent.
Yeah.
So kids and social media. So no, I get that play. I get that there's for them. I don't know if it's performative because you got to think like we got social media. MySpace came around first, and that we were already probably in our 20s by then, I reckon. Yeah,
what was the other? There was one it came and went. Bebo. I just remember thinking, what the fuck is going on here? Like and Tumblr.
That wasn't social media.
Well, it was social-esque, but not not in the same. Anyway, we don't need to go and rattle them all off. Sorry, carry on.
Vine's coming back.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Jack Dorsey.
Yeah, right. Vine.
Do you know Jack Dorsey?
No, but
the founder of Twitter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So he has Vine.
Yeah.
And his move is to compete with TikTok.
Yeah.
Because it was the original TikTok, and to remove AI.
Yeah, right.
From it, I think that's something that I found to be a bit of a problem.
Yeah,
is just the amount of AI slop there is.
Yeah.
And man, but that can tie back to the conversation that we were just having earlier about how it's just kind of integrated into the sphere of creativity. Did you hear about Disney? How it just laid off a whole shitload of people and now going to be using AI?
No, that's disappointing.
It is. Disney, I guess like what they're trying to do is to obviously save a lot of money, but there's also this movie from this production house called Acme, Acme AI. I think that is the AI platform that they have created, and it's the first movie, big budget movie. Casey Affleck, I can't remember who else is in it. Anyway, it's A-list actors. And what they've done is that they used AI to create the setting. So they filmed entirely in a very grayed out studio, and AI has created the whole entire environment. And their argument for that is that it is going to create more jobs by creating more opportunities, right? Because movies are insanely expensive. I've got a filmmaker coming up, and one of the things that we're going to be talking about is budget, because I just don't understand how you have a movie that can blow up that outrageously. So even a small budget movie is still talking in the millions. Like what the fuck? So what they're saying is that with this new AI, it will remove a whole bunch of expenses for the creative, that being the filmmaker, and allow them to create whatever it is they want on a smaller budget, which should in turn create more opportunities, more creative opportunities. But it also does mean that there's going to be a lot of jobs that are no longer required. So Disney sacked a whole bunch of artists, especially like all tiers and all rankings all the way throughout. So who knows what that's going to look like.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, isn't it? Because I guess, not truly understanding the economics of film, but, you would imagine it's all the scenic people, isn't it? That, obviously, costume. I mean, everything seems like it's done now in a morph suit and a green screen anyway, doesn't it? But
more or less, yeah.
But at the same time as well, it's, I mean, I don't know. You'd like to think that, you'd like to think that people like that are not bullshitting, that it is just, there'll be more jobs, and before you know it, there's not.
You won't. There's no way to know, but generally it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, but that's also coming from the same company that took on Star Wars and...
Yeah, see what they did to that, yeah.
Well, yeah.
Well, who knows what's going to come off that now?
Who knows?
Do you have any artists that are up there with those Meta VR glasses and doing their scribbles at least?
Yeah, I've seen a few. I don't know if they want to be named, but not because I think it's one of those things. I think it's just early days where they are the outliers. You know what I mean? Like they probably feel a bit, one out doing it. But it's probably not going to be too far. I remember I used to have this this conversation with my auntie, who's an optometrist, and she'd be like, you need to get your son, screens, blah blah blah. Yeah. And I'm like, listen, in 20 years, we're all going to be walking around with glasses on anyway. We're probably not even going to have our real eyes. We'll have some sort of a plug-in or some kind of a layer. I did see a point at the time, but I feel like it's just the same thing with what they're doing with those, with the Meta markup things. And I guess I'm looking at this purely from a logistics point of view. If it means that I don't have to go and get a generator and an overhead projector or a projector for someone to project their stuff on a wall, mate, you wear the Meta glasses.
Yeah,
it makes life so much easier for me.
I don't know what the pushback is with that, though.
It's just new technology. It's just always the way. Like, I can still remember, like, vividly when I got an iPhone and feeling really weird being on it in public. Like, it didn't feel good. It felt weird because, I've kind of always been one of those people that's into things early. But I remember feeling like...
That's a big shift. That's a big shift, and now it's standard.
Now I feel weird if I'm not on it. You know what I mean? So it's, I'm definitely not throwing shade, but there is a thing of like, oh, what the hell kind of thing. Yeah.
It seems like a very logical step. I mean, like, it doesn't seem like it's too far removed. I mean, like, a muralist using VR goggles is not the same as a muralist generating ideas through Midjourney or anything, right?
Yeah.
So it seems like if you're going to put your scribbles, your doodles up, then what's the difference? Really?
Yeah.
I mean, you're still having to actively do it. And what would be the next evolution of that? I don't think it can really go much beyond that.
Good story on the Midjourney thing is there an artist that we work with in Port Kembla, Ernest Ilm. He actually, this is a couple of years ago now, creates his work with VR. With VR.
AI.
Old boy, yeah. In AI. But man, paints it like photorealism. Do you know what I mean? So, and I thought that was like super cool from the perspective that it's like, yeah, I did it, but I can do it. Yeah, I did it, but I can do it. Like it's that whole kind of, I guess you look at the notions of, go back to, I've never referenced my art degree so much as I have in the last couple of days. But, it's the whole thing of you got to learn the rules before you can break them.
Yeah.
And it's like, he's learnt the rule. He knows how to paint, but living, and, I'm going to suggest, I don't have the hard facts, but he's doing it for that reason. He's not doing it because he can't. He's doing it because he's challenging his understanding and expectation of how he should make work. You
Yeah.
know?
I mean, you could liken that to a pop artist, a pop musician that doesn't write their own music, that they just have the vocals and the qualities and the skill.
Publishing, sorry, not publishing. The whole kind of songwriter.
Exactly.
It's like, you've got people sitting there just writing hits for... You ever seen the movie Doco Stand in the Shadows of Motown?
No.
Oh, man. Such a moving documentary. It's the Funk Brothers, the
Okay.
guys who basically were the band that was signed to Tamala Motown to write all of the hits. I think the stat is, more number one hits than like the Beach Boys, Elvis and the Beatles combined.
Jesus, okay.
And man... It's crazy, and I've watched it so long ago now. But if you get a chance, watch it.
Yeah, okay.
And they're sitting interviewing they tracked the members down, and they basically were just put down in this basement, played all, I think in Detroit, wherever it was, playing all the records, writing all the hits. The label packed up and moved away, and they find the original Funk Brothers band.
Go on.
Yeah.
I've heard this go.
And
yeah.
they're sitting in the cafe having a chat, and they're interviewing one of them, and all of a sudden, like, My Girl comes on. And the dude's just like, see, I wrote this, I wrote that. You know what I mean? It's like, it's, oh man, it's one of the first docos I've like fully got emotional,
Yeah, all right, I'll check that out. No, now that, as you were telling me about it, I have heard about that. Because it's like, how you have a pop artist that doesn't necessarily need to write their own music. They just got to perform it. But hip hop, you absolutely have to write your own. There's no two ways about it. So you have to be able to be on both sides of that. You have to be able to write and perform. Where with visual art, it's also the same. And I don't know exactly what... Actually, no, not entirely. There are some people that are really good at just copying artwork, right? Like if you go to... I remember when I was at the Louvre, there was other artists there that were going stroke for stroke, copying exactly what the Mona Lisa looks like. And highly, highly skilled. But then it just begs the question, is that creativity or is it just skill, like a trade, right? Like someone that is really good at rendering a wall, right? Like, is that what they're doing? That they don't even have to think. There's not really necessarily having to be expressive about it. They're just technically sound. Yeah,
it's almost mathematical in a way. Yeah. Well, that's funny, isn't it? Because you look at all the stuff around, translating your work from your sketch or your design to the wall, and the grid method. That was the only thing I could ever do in maths.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because I could use the grid, it's because I could just draw the picture. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But I was like, man, this is maths. This is sick.
Yeah. So
And
it's
that
like,
was
this line intersects this point on the grid, and
yeah, it was like, I don't know what is that teaching you in maths? Do you know? I'm genuinely interested. I don't know why that was ever a maths thing.
I mean, it's just relative proportions, right?
Scale, probably.
Yeah, scale and just knowing, like, when you've got
It's feel really dumb.
When you have a
it was
grid and
scale.
you just need to know, like, when the shape cuts through this line, like, how far up. What it's teaching you, like, from my experience, what it teaches me is to see things more objectively. So you're looking at shapes rather than a figure, right? So you're looking at the negative space. You're looking at, basically just trying to simplify the form as much as you can. And
it's probably getting, because you hear this a lot from artists as well, you've got to trust the process. It's like, it's probably about focusing on the micro to get the macro.
Yeah.
Like,
and just trust that it'll all pan out.
All works
and like,
out.
One thing you could do is just like flip the thing upside down and try to do it in reverse. So that way, like if you're doing portraiture, for example, this is me as someone who just doesn't really do it, just how I think it could work is instead of trying to see a face and trying to copy a face, especially like, you see some people that are doing hyper-real portraiture of celebrities. And I say celebrities only because we're so familiar with seeing them.
Yeah, when it's wrong.
Yeah, you know when it's wrong. So if you were to work on it upside down, you're not looking at a face, you're looking at shapes and where the lines intersect the particular grid.
Yeah, right.
So theoretically, once you flip it around, it should be correct if you've got your...
So you're drawing from facts, not feelings.
Yeah.
Or how you remember or perceive.
Yeah, because that'll fuck it up for sure.
Yeah, interesting.
But then that's kind of why I'm saying that, like, there are some artists, the ones that are that are hyper real artists, and this is not to discredit their their technical know-how, but it's just where their understanding is really good is just being able to differentiate shapes, tones, and relative shapes and tones, right? And how to enhance or not enhance it, whether they're replicating it exact or just using their prowess to adjust lighting or shade or contrast, doing all that. But it's just all relative. Like you have a dark area and it's dark because there's more pigment in that than a lighter area. And yeah, just that's the math.
Yeah, it's interesting. Hey, I mean, even so, I'm going to reference my art.
Go on.
My art.
So you have an art. You have an art.
Well,
degree?
yeah, it was because I was young and you had to do. So I wasn't allowed
Yeah.
to just stay at home. It was like you're going to go out and bloody get on with your life,
Learn
mate.
art.
Yeah. So I did a fine art degree. What I was getting at was what I was going to say was the that everything could be made from the triangle, square, and circle. You know, I think it was Cezanne said that. I hope. Fact check that one.
No, I'm quoting you.
Yeah, I know. I just
Actually, I'm going to attribute that to you.
Yeah, Simon says. But when you break it down like that as well, you know, like I don't think that necessarily has to be as mathematical. But if you break down whatever it is, but you know, I feel like I compare that to like problems. It's like how do you kind of, you know, if you're solving any problem, you just start to break it down into individual like pieces. What's the cliche? How do you eat an elephant? You know, a bite at a time. It's like, you know, breaking it down into smaller pieces. Fuck, I don't think I've ever had such a publicly philosophical or whatever this conversation. It's good. It's very good.
Just thinking, man. We
Yeah,
just think.
I know.
We just think and talk.
I'm happy. I do lots of it, but it's just it's nice. It's funny
Just to get it out.
It's going to be public. Yeah. Hope I fucking make sense, man.
That's one of the trepidations I had. Is like fuck. Like, I would just go off and just say that like, I don't really know much. Is like the stuff that I know is stuff that I took from here and sharing it out there. So it's not my knowledge. It's just shit that I learnt and worked for me.
Yeah.
So that's how I kind of like put an asterisk. Like these aren't my ideas, right? These are just someone else's ideas.
You're just the vessel.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But one thing that I heard on that was, you know, about when you say problem solving is that I don't know who even to attribute this to, but it was that if a problem seems too big, is that you haven't broken it down small enough.
Yeah, okay.
So you can just break everything down to like really small steps, and if that small step is still too big, then break it down even smaller.
Again. Yeah. It's the pragmatism, isn't it? I think, you know, managing the between thoughts and feelings, facts and feelings. You know, like I think that sometimes. Yeah, if something's in the way for me, I have to really focus on like, is it a fact or is it a feeling? You know, like it's almost kind of like little baby Simon.
That's tough.
It's like, is it a fact? Is it a feeling? And sometimes it can take 24 hours to realize which one it is. You know, so it's.
I don't know if you can really.
Now we're moving into psychology, mate.
I don't know if you can separate the two. This is one thing that I learned in branding, right? Like when I worked with a lot in the startup space. They love their data. They love figures. They like to have evidence of things. But at the same time, I am a big believer that we don't know what it is that we want. And we are completely, entirely fueled by emotions, strictly by emotions. You know how they say that, you know, facts don't give a shit about your feelings? Feelings don't give a shit about facts.
Yeah.
Right? So that's kind of how I look at it, right? Like, the way that we would go through life is that we will try to make sense and make objectivity of something that's emotional, right? So, like, for example, when speaking with clients, I'll tell them, like, you have an iPhone and it works perfectly fine. The new one comes out with a better camera. And before you know it, you're like, you know, you want this new phone, but you don't want to go with an emotional purchase. So now, all of a sudden, the battery's draining real quick.
Yeah.
Like, it just keeps on, you know, it's lagging a little bit. maybe I do need an upgrade. And then
Yep.
there you go. What you've done is you've attached objectivity to an emotional response. Everything that we do is emotional. So it's like moving from a negative state to a positive state.
Do you think people are doing that in like consciously or subconsciously? Like,
Both.
Yeah, a bit of both. Because I was going to say, yeah, I think sometimes when that does start to happen, yeah, you can start to find the reasons for why. But in the same way that you can also find the reasons why not.
Yeah.
You know, like it's
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, wow, definitely a
Problem-solving thing?
winding road of
Yeah.
of
I do. I'd like to have. I don't know whether it's a thing. So even just then, I didn't even finish the sentence before I just jumped onto another one. That's something that I've been trying to curb a lot because my brain is always.
yeah.
And I've been like, being on a podcast, you have to finish your sentences.
Yeah, that'd be a good point actually, because I guess there's probably a balance between sort of how you think about something, and probably makes I struggle with this. Makes perfect sense to me, but it probably needs to have done 2 or 3 more laps before it went out. And I'm like, and again, go back to my voice note thing, is that's probably why I've started doing that, is because it's like I can just say, yes, I want to, instead of going blah, 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 blah,
Oh,
blah.
but then this and then that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just jumping around a lot.
Yeah, so...
I'm indecisive by nature. I think that it's really good if people can just be like straight down the line and make a call like that.
Indecisive.
Big time.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would have thought you would have been like a boom, boom, boom. Yeah.
No. I just sit and deliberate and just weigh up options.
Yeah.
And then if once I land on an option, and then I'll find another one just so I can keep going with that process. It's a problem, man.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it slows things down.
Yeah. Because I asked you earlier as well about do you have the kind of whole paralysis by analysis thing, but then maybe it's not indecisiveness, it's strategic thinking.
It is, but then I also know that like perfectionism it's not serving anyone well, and you're just better off to put something out and just share it rather than trying to overthink this particular, because you're not combating. You don't know what you're up against until you go up against it. So one of the things that I have, and I know a lot of other people do, is like, oh, but what if? And they're just bringing in all these other external factors that aren't even within this set of parameters, right? Like you're just introducing extra bullshit. Whether it could be for self-sabotage, maybe like it's something that I don't want to put out, that I don't want to share. So I'm trying to find alternatives to try to hide that fact.
Yeah.
All this shit, I overthink everything, man. And that's my point. That's my point.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because when I spoke to you in the beginning as well, it's like, the brand, the idea, like, just it all comes together really well. So it's interesting to hear that you've got this.
That took a lot of time, and
I was going to say, yeah. When did you say you were going to start doing it, and when did you do it?
Oh, okay. So now I'm just going to contradict myself because I'm really good at, firstly, coming up with impulsive ideas.
Yep.
But then that's a bit of a trapping, right? Like I really look up to a lot of the artists that can just wing it.
Yeah.
Because I find that to be really challenging. I like to have as much control over everything as possible. So with the podcast, it's more like to it being an emotional response was I just felt as though that I needed a big pivot. It was the whole midlife crisis thing. Ooh. And I wanted to find a way to move back into doing something that was a bit more fulfilling, and it was art. Like I painted a lot before I did design, and then left because I didn't know that you could actually be an artist. Like that was a thing you could do. And design was just something that I was good at and moved into because there was a career trajectory there. And, I know I'm good at it, but then it's also that what do I actually really want to do?
What do you want to do? Yeah. It's funny as well, isn't it? Because the older you get, and we say that like a couple of fucking pensioners, but, but it's that thing, isn't it? Like you can get more money, you can't get more time. That's the one thing I'm learning really quickly, like turning my, not, I definitely can't afford to turn my back on things, but like, it's like shit, I'm going to get that and that's going to be gone quicker than, financially the money that's just going to be gone. Dude. Whereas this opportunity or this experience will last in this little head for however long.
That's what you're going to take with you. I was having this same conversation with a friend of mine she's starting another business and she wants me to help with the branding. But she said the same thing because she's really high level marketing executive and has been for her whole life. So when you're talking about like a early 40s woman that has been a marketing C-suite level, like that takes
goddess level.
Yeah, so she knows her shit really well, and she, fought tooth and nail to get up there.
Yeah.
But then for her now, she's like, I can't do this forever. I don't want to do this forever. I'm like, what the fuck am I going to do?
Yeah,
now?
because I think people realize that nothing's up there anyway. Do you know what I mean? You get there, and it's like, oh, this is it.
Yeah.
True. And chasing the dragon. Do you know what I mean? It's I don't know, or it's what do they say? It's not the destination, it's the journey.
And it sounds like a massive wank, but like when you look back, and like Will was saying, when you look back, it's like, fuck, it really is that.
Yeah.
And there's been so many times where I've had some fucking like tough situations, as we all have.
Yeah.
And don't you just look back at those fondly?
Yeah, 100%. It's the adversity that galvanizes the experience. It's just really hard in the moment, and that's that thing, isn't it? Is it a fact or is it a feeling? When it's happening to you in that moment, it's like, and I've had to have myself sometimes, 24, 48, 2 weeks later, come back to the thing and be like, does it still feel the same? It goes like, even talk about my wasted music career, lack thereof. But, it was the same thing. I remember when we would, because I played drums for a few things here and there with a friend that had a studio, and we'd be playing. I just would love everything, and then he'd be like, "Oh, I've got to go away. I've got to come back with fresh ears." And I'm like, "What the fuck? What?" I'm like, "We're in the moment." And I totally understand that now. At the time, I was like, "Fresh ears, like, come on, mate." He was a little bit older than me as well, so I was like, "Dude, wanker." But now it's like, not from a professional perspective, but from a personal perspective, it's like, okay, cool. Like, I've got to come back with fresh feelings and see if I still respond. I only did it recently with some friends on something I was feeling on a professional matter, where I was like, it just blasted this, I don't even know what it was, letter to the editor kind of thing that, not even letter to the editor, but just, dumped everything and sent it, and then, had like writer's remorse. I was like, fuck, it doesn't even make sense. But at that time, it was, mate, I was Shakespeare, But then I read it back and I'm like, it's psychobabble. And had I have just taken probably, just gone and had a banana and chilled out, he got some, is it potassium in bananas?
Yeah, that's the one.
There you go.
Yeah.
Maybe just needed some potassium.
Yeah, some electrolytes.
Chill out, come back. Some cordial, bro.
Cordial.
Had some cordial. But yeah, man, it's hard, man. And we never really ever get it right.
I mean, like,
we'll figure it out.
When you were saying earlier that, when you get later in life, you just stop giving a shit. You let a lot of things go, right? But there's also like a lot of lessons you've learned that you can just carry across. So I used to be such a fucking angry kid.
Yeah,
angry, right? Like, I used to carry that weight around with me. What I've learned now is definitely when you're in that, I don't feel that anymore.
Yeah.
But I always regretted everything I did when I was in that state. All right, so one of the things I teach my kids is that if you're angry, don't fucking do anything.
Yeah.
Sit there with it, feel it, but fucking don't do anything. Trust me, you're going to regret it. 100% you're going to regret it. Whatever it is that you do in that state, you are going to regret.
Yeah.
So just chill. Just give yourself a moment.
Yeah, I think that's a big one with panic and worry.
Yeah.
Like, when you panic, you make stupid decisions.
For sure.
Because you're just trying to remove yourself from that situation. But yeah, look, we've all got the answers, don't we? Until I've said this so much, that Mike Tyson quote, everyone's got a plan till they get punched in the face, and it's like, they come thick and fast and way too quick. But this is a good chat, man. This is nice not to be talking about work as well. You know what I mean? Because it's always like, and then how does the scissor lift go forward? And it's like, and I'm like, well, I don't drive the scissor lift, so I mean, I do, but it's so. Yeah.
Now, these conversations, like the underlying things about the work. I mean, like, I'm sure that there's a lot of artists being like, oh, how do you do this? How do you do that? It's like, I don't know, I just do it. So I don't know. I just kind of like to peek behind and just to learn. I find these conversations more valuable because you can just take that and then seeing how you can apply it to
and
your
I'm
craft.
going to assume that is even where we are now, these are often the common threads. Like I think everyone feels the same. I had a conversation recently. He probably will never see this, and I hope if he does, he feels something when we talk about it. But I was working with this young graph writer.
Mm-hmm.
Great kid. Few things went down, blah, 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 blah. I'll save all of the gory details, and, if he does, I don't want him to feel embarrassed or anything. But, it's this thing where I've really had a strong connection with him. Like, he's a good dude, a lot of fucking stupid mistakes, silly things that he's done. But it's this thing I've said to him, at the end of the day, like, we all just want to be loved and we all just want to be respected. And the reason that all of these things are happening is because you're not necessarily feeling those things. You know what I mean? And I can feel like in the moment it was this kind of like thing for him where it was like, oh, but then his immediate response was to go and do the absolute opposite because of the fear of those feelings.
Gotcha.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So I mean, look, I don't. In the grand scheme of things, I don't really know what that has to do with our broader conversation. But it's. I think that feeling of connection, and again going back to community and bringing it back to just everybody wants to feel that thing. You know what I mean? Like,
I completely do. And when you say that you don't know how this ties in everything, I can link that right back to the very start of the conversation about how artists should be more audacious with things, right? So when you have that, and this is speaking from personal experience for sure, is that when you feel that trepidation and you feel like you're not worthy of these things, then without knowing what you're actually doing, there's going to be an element of self-sabotage, right? And like stunting the level that you could be playing at. So yeah, I completely hear that.
Yeah, fuck that not worthy thing. Like that's good work. You are the host.
This is all shit that I've just learned along the way as well. Not just here, but like this is all part of it. Just, outside, just dealing with my own bullshit that, and everyone's dealt, had to one way or another deal with their bullshit. I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah.
But for sure, man, like I get that. And I think that self-sabotage thing is just such a real thing that people aren't necessarily cognizant of, that they could be doing it. And they get to a certain point where they don't feel worthy of praise, or even something as pragmatic as pricing, right? Like you fear pricing this because you don't feel that you're worthy of that. Yeah. And then they can't receive compliments either because they don't know if it's genuine.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like how many times, like if you're going to create a piece of art, there could be 1,000 people telling you how great it is, and it just takes one prick to tell you that is dog shit, and you're going to hang on to that.
And that's where you go.
Yeah, it's dog shit. Yeah, and that's it. It's stuck with you.
Yeah, that's been a lot of my questions lately around, we talked about the social media thing. Is it's like, I'm not scared of being seen, or I've always sort of hid in the background just because that's been the way that it is. But yeah, it's that thing of sort of putting yourself out there and, having to kind of, be, and I said to you as well, like even with the social media thing of like, I just think, fuck, who wants to see this shit? But
everyone.
Yeah, but even still, I just think, oh, I'm having is this the thing? Oh, I'm having a coffee. But then it's not the thing, because it's like, it's got to feel normal and organic. And if you're like, do you want to see my coffee? It's like, no, we don't. But show us your coffee and we'll see it, so I don't know, fuck. Big questions, mate. Big questions.
Yeah, I think that if you want, you can just start peeling back the layers of everything and then get to the, why do we exist?
Yeah, well, on the social media thing, I mean, I hope that most or all creatives feel the same, that, like it is a push and it is a struggle. Like I did the Q&A with Ginger, actually, and that was one of the things. But again, even if she's hating it, like she's looking like she loves it and she's great at it. And, and there are people that are genuinely amazing at it, but it's just, I also sometimes just don't like people to know where I am or what I'm doing. You know what I mean?
No,
and the privacy thing is...
Then there's I guess boundaries, set your boundaries. And I think why she's so good at it is because she does play to her strengths. Like she will get up there and do a little jig because she feels like doing a little jig.
Because she wants to do a jig.
She wants to do a little jig. Yeah, so you don't have to necessarily do that. It'll look fucking weird if I got up there and started doing what she does. Dancing to Dolly Parton. That wouldn't make any sense at all.
Working 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Well, you don't anymore, so... It's not true.
And I'm just working 24/7.
Yeah. What's that thing? Is let's get your own business so you can, don't have to work 9 till 5. You just have to work 24 hours a day instead.
7 days a week, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to say as well, who should, do you know Callum Preston?
We've been in touch.
Oh, mate.
He's just so busy.
Yeah. Mate, take the studio to him. He was the most engaged, like working with him and getting, because he did the talk at the festival.
Yeah.
Mate, it was in A1. But
yeah, he's done so many as well.
I was going to say, but his whole presentation was just exactly like how he presents as a business and as a brand and as a person. It's just inherently, it was, mate.
Yeah, well, he's a great example of someone who's done the work. Like he's decades, right? Like his portfolio's decades worth, and it's just a whole bunch of experimental through to high level, all and everything in between, and squillions of talks in between there. So, which has given him the opportunity, no doubt, to be able to reflect back on the work. Because sometimes, a lot of the times, you do the work and then you're on to the next, right? But where someone like himself has given himself the opportunity, or has been given the opportunity to be able to reflect. And like, did he talk about like his DeLorean thing?
Yeah.
See, that would have come up so many times. So for him, he has a good understanding of what that particular project has in the whole grand scheme of his whole career.
Yeah, but also just his whole approach to things, like, and I said in the intro to at some point in time in the speech as well, it's like my opinion of him is as well, like he's kind of like your favorite artist. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like, even if he's not involved, he's touched it somewhere. Yeah. Along the supply chain or the culture chain or whatever it is. Like he's just, or he knows someone, and if it's not him, he knows someone who has, like it's, that's always been a big thing sort of for my practice as well, is like I've always, like Mark Pollard, when I spoke about him earlier, I've always sort of had more attraction to those kind of behind the scenes people more so than the people up the front, so.
Yeah. I mean, but I think that he's sort of plays in both, because he has done all that. So he is like, front facing as well. So he's kind of like, I mean, he's earned, I don't want to say earned, because I don't think it was necessarily intentional. He's just kind of done his thing, and he's just gotten to that position where. Yeah,
well, I'd be interested to hear from his perspective that, I reckon the reason that he's been so successful is because he just loves it, and he just turns up every day with a positive attitude. Do you know what I mean? Like he's there because he's a part of it because he genuinely wants to be a part of it. Like,
I don't know. I mean, you wouldn't, you know him, but
I was going to say I should know. I just saw the talk.
But whether or not like it was intentional to be a part of it, or it just so happens that the things he did just kind of inserted him into being a part of it, like a significant part of it.
Super brain, super thinker.
So if he's listening to this, you should jump on.
Yeah.
Now I hit him up, and there was just a few messages back and forth, but he was jumping around this, that, the other exhibition overseas, blah, 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 and just trying to... And he actually doesn't live too far away.
No excuse, Callum.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, well, if only I had the sway, mate.
Oh, surely.
Well, we'll see. Finder's fee. I know you already found him.
If you get him on, no, I can't give you anything.
No, true. I wouldn't take anything.
Yeah, so now that Benella's wrapped up, what's on the horizon?
Not really sure, to be honest.
Yeah.
Just kind of play it as it comes. And, it's going back to, we said it's the equivalent of telling the old bloke, if you don't get a Facebook page, you're not going to get any business. Well, mate, I've always just, the next thing's always just
hammering it.
Well, no, it always just turns up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I've unfortunately probably get offered a lot of things that don't align with what I want to do. And, but yeah, I don't know. I think it'll all work out. Some funding opportunities for the next installment of Wonderwalls. Don't know what the future of Benalla looks like at the moment, so who knows? But just keep making, creating.
Just jumping off the hamster wheel for a little while.
Oh no, still stay on it. Just be on my own for a little while until someone wants to come and play.
It's a good position to be in, though, man. Once you've just closed a chapter and have, I guess, just the creative juices still flowing. Yeah,
it's good to have. I think if things were always so known, I'd probably resist it a little bit as well. I struggle with not change. Like I need change all the time.
Keeps things novel, dude, and I think that's really important, man. Like
Yeah,
if things become rudimentary and just going through the motions, then what's the fucking point?
Yeah, well, I've done it once where I got a job and I lasted 10 months and it was just,
Fair effort.
It was torture. It was torture. It's good because, like you get paid and you get, like the money turns up every week but mate, it was just, I couldn't handle it.
Yeah, I know what you mean, man.
It all worked. Well, what's the other saying as well, eh? It all works out in the end. If it hasn't, it's not the end.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Got to keep going.
Ironically, that's probably a good spot to tie this up.
Yeah.
Mate, Simon Grant, thank you so much for jumping on, dude. I know your time is scarce. You're in Victoria for a small window. So thanks for coming by, mate.
Thanks for having me. Hope we didn't tangent too much.
We tangent a lot, but that's the idea.
Awesome.